international station for an international city. This is Radio 3. Money Talk.
Hello, this is Monday's Money Talk on Radio 3 with a new week of business and finance news. It's the 28th of June. Good morning from me, Peter Lewis. It's 8:25. Let's go and join up in Shanghai. Andy Shi, who's Shanghai-based independent economist. Morning to you, Andy.
Good morning, Peter.
We've been talking this morning about the centennial for the Chinese Communist Party, going to be celebrated on this Thursday, the 1st of July. If we look back over what China has achieved economically over the last sort of couple of decades or so, how would you like to sum it up? How would you see the major achievements?
Well, I think that China has come out of this poverty trap. And it was really self-imposed, and for 3 decades, under the old system, productivity was really, really low. So eventually, I think the government decided to open up the country and go back to where it was before. In the 1930s and 20s, China was growing very rapidly.
And that was really down to the people, wasn't it? It was down to their sort of entrepreneurship and down to their innovation, rather than necessarily the state sort of deciding what to do then.
Well, yeah, I think that the East Asian civilization appears to be quite compatible with industry and urban living. And Japan succeeded first. And China tried, and because of government corruption and incompetence, China failed. And that set up these decades of turmoil and eventually Japanese invasion, which led to the rise of the Communist Party.
So what are the challenges now going forward, would you say? If we look forward, I mean, China is facing a number of big challenges, isn't it? Both internal and external. What do you see as the main things it needs to overcome to sort of take the economy to the next stage?
Well, I think that the economy probably is going to hit like $12,000 per capita income this year. It's still kind of the average level for the world, but Chinese currency is undervalued, I believe. So based on purchasing power parity, probably it's pretty close to 20,000. So this is a solid middle income country. To get to high income country, so that requires more efficient resource allocation. We know that China's problem is government takes too much resources. It's done good things like building up infrastructure, but there is such a thing of having too much of a good thing. Everything's overbuilt. So the government use of capital is not efficient anymore. So this is the key issue, is that capital needs to go back to the people, to the market, and the government needs to take a smaller share. And if the government can do that, then we could get to Taiwan's level. Or if not, then it's going to be at this level for a while.
But it seems that the government is moving in the other direction. It wants to actually have more control of things, particularly like the technology industry, over private companies, over small businesses. So it wants to be much more involved in what those companies do and the development of certain industries. Do you think that's going to be a problem?
Oh yeah, I think that it's just not, there's the current political dilemma is that can it handle alternative power centers? Big businesses, by definition, are power centers.
But it hasn't liked what it's seen so far, has it? With firms like Alibaba and so on.
I think the Chinese civilization centers around the government. And the government does not allow alternative power centers. So this is not a recent phenomenon. So I think the government is having trouble facing up to that. So I think for China, the main thing is still political, is that the modernization is not complete. The issue is that a private capital-based market economy, the government needs to tolerate alternative power centers.
So if you have if you have an economy that's going to become more and more based on technology, as China is and China wants to be, you need innovation, don't you? You need entrepreneurship. You need people to challenge existing ideas and come up with new ideas, and if anything, be a little bit rebellious to be able to make those innovations. Can people do that in China right now?
Well, I think that the government, the alternative is to copy and scale up and produce cheaply.
Which is what Japan did.
This model has worked pretty well. I think that kind of innovation and creating something new, is that so important? From the government's perspective, it appears that they could live without it.
So it's going to be more like Japan then. It's not going to be inventing new medicines, new drugs, new technological advances itself. It's going to manufacture other people's ones much better, much cheaper, much faster.
That is likely to be the case for as far as we can see.
Okay, Andy, it's always good to talk to you. Sadly, we've run out of time, but thank you very much indeed. That's Andy Shi, who is Shanghai-based independent economist.
You're listening to Money Talk on RTHK Radio 3.